Yes, thank you so very much this afternoon for joining us on another exciting episode of the John Mayaki Show. We are glad to have you on the show. This afternoon, joining us is Dr. Samson Osage, PhD. He is a legal practitioner, a consultant on governance and development matters. He was former minority whip, House of Representatives representing Orionwa and Uude Federal Constituency. That was in 2011 to 2015. You highly welcome, sir. This afternoon, we will be treating a topic that is very important to all of us in this country. We're looking at patriotism, peace, and unity in diversity, such that what are the lessons we can learn from the recent happenings in Afghanistan? All right, there are little doubt that the period we are in presently is quite challenging in our nationhood. Economic stress and security challenges have intensified separatist movements, and this has devolved into violent rhetoric and confrontations in certain parts of the country. Yet, regardless of what anyone thinks of our nation union and the governance structure, it is abundantly clear that we cannot find solutions to this problem in the absence of peace. The situation playing out in Afghanistan offers practical lessons. You will see a video of what happened in Afghanistan, which affords us opportunity to learn some lessons. Yeah, nobody thought of a traveling bag over there. You can find that nobody is with a traveling bag there. That tells you that if anything happens to this country today, not even the big man will think of his traveling bag. Nobody is going to think of his bank account or how much he has there, not even loved ones. Every man, every woman to him or to herself. And so, torn apart by clannish conflicts that warranted foreign interventions, no reasonable progress has been made in that country for decades. No matter what side of ethnic army they fall, all citizens of the country have had to grapple with rising poverty, rising hardship, and affordable suffering. So desperate are they to escape the contraption that they are clinging onto planes in flight, falling to their deaths in the process. We will want to call on our prof, Dr. Samson Osage, to give us an insight into into lessons concerning what is happening around the world and the lessons for Nigeria. Go ahead, please. It's not. Go ahead, hearing.
Who have any interest in not this unless their economic interests are involved. At a time when Russia was in setting when the ruling power, the ruling government was the US was giving some terrain support to the Mujahideen who are represented by the Taliban, because that is their style of Mujahideen. Now, upon the withdrawal of USS Army, the ruling government at that time, the US was giving terrain support to contain the forces which have otherwise been the daddy of the West United States of United States. Of course, we are aware that the United States of America has spent so much money trying to train the Afghanistan, trying to train their army, buy equipment, give them the best of training in the world. So much so that many of the Taliban were laying down their arms and then pretending to join part to join the Afghanistan army. The result is what the United States of America spent so much money the Taliban was already signed with the Taliban for a ceasefire. It was wrong for the United States to pull out of Afghanistan. And today, the rest is history. The United States have pulled out of Afghanistan, and the Taliban, without spilling any blood, have taken over the governance of Afghanistan. What you have seen in action is the people's revolution. No matter the force of the gun, when the people are determined about their destiny in a nation that is refusing to heed to the clarion call of the citizens, it can only take some time. It will definitely come to happen. As you can see today, Afghanistan has been taken over by the Taliban, who are trying to put in place a governance structure. They introduce an Islamic Sharia regime that will guide the governance of that country. And now the people of Afghanistan themselves are running head step. Many of them are trying to flee the country because they don't feel secure. In any case, Afghanistan is not just altogether Muslim fundamentalists. So the lesson we can find today is that for us in Nigeria, we must not take lightly the semblance of the Taliban that we have in our country, which is the Boko Haram and the bandits, as we call them today. These people have constituted themselves into an alternate government for over 10 years running. And in spite of governance defense spending to quell their insurrection, they have remained unperturbed and very destructive of both national and private assets. And now we are also hearing that some of them are repenting and they want to now come back into the society. And our government is opening arms to receive them back into the society. Yes, I believe that part of the measures of quelling insurrection is to accept and, of course, reintegrate those who have surrendered their arms. But I believe that we shouldn't do that without profiling those who are laying down their arms and pretending to join us. Because in time to come, if these people are to join the Nigerian army, they may turn out against the nation in the future when they now have a sizable number. You know, I smiled and I laughed when Joe Biden said, oh, the Afghanistan have an army of over 300,000 that have been trained and given equipment. But we forgot to realize that part of that number are many Talibans who laid down their arms and then became repentant and joined the Afghanistan army. So they did not have the willpower to fight back and protect the governance of the country, and that is where we are today. So the lessons for us today is government must be responsive to the yearnings of the people. Government must prioritize social services for the citizens. Government must prioritize security of life and property. It's not all about acquiring military software and hardware. It's about providing food, providing security, providing infrastructure, so that the people and the government will be on the same page and be able to tackle insurgency and insurrection whenever they arise. A government that encourages profligacy, such as we are seeing in the midst of austerity, is a recipe for crisis. And God forbid that we are overrun one day, then this country become, something else that we cannot even imagine. And the signs are very ominous for our dear country, Nigeria. Our leaders must rise up to the challenge. We are not just to clap hands and condemn what has happened or appraise what has happened in Afghanistan. We must draw useful lessons from it, so that such a thing cannot happen in our dear country. If the president of Afghanistan can run away from the presidential house, presidential palace, because the Taliban have succeeded in taking over government, it therefore means that it can happen anywhere. And for us, the lesson I think we should drop on is that government must look at those issues critically. The issues of bandits, the issues of Boko Haram people who are insurgents, who are pretending to be laying down their arms, who are seeking for amnesty. They must be properly profiled and given the kind of treatment that does not integrate them immediately into the Nigerian security forces. That is very important, because they have fought an insurrection and insurgency against the state, where they have opportunity to join the national security architecture. Then they are placing themselves in a very good state to champion the cause for which they have fought all their lives. So for us in Nigeria, we must be very careful how we handle the bandits and how we handle the insurgents that have continuously plagued our dear nation. The Afghanistan example must be something that must be something of fear to every leader, and not only in Nigeria, in across Africa countries, where governance have come to its lowest ebb in terms of performance, in terms of job creation, and in terms of all-round development agenda for their various countries. So that will be my opening contribution for now.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Samson Osagie. Yeah, the lines are open for would-be contributors who want to call in. I'll be back to Dr. Samson Osagie on the role of the citizens in terms of patriotism, in terms of unity, and in terms of cohabitation. I'll be back on that to Dr. Samson Osagie. Now, the lines are open. Feel free to call and make your contributions. It is shocking. It is a shocking realization that the foreign saviors, many often believe we wade into and resolve the mess in Afghanistan, have since lost the appetite for such missions. The pullout of the United States of America from Afghanistan emphasizes a simple message that no longer will the first world countries commit resources to state building on foreign soil again. And so, in effect, we are on our own, and we are all going to be our own if it happens, especially in Nigeria. If our country will rise or fall, thrive or perish, prosper or crash, it will be to be that we are committed to either we support the fall of Nigeria or not. There is a video of former President Olusegun Obasanjo telling us that not even 2023 is what the unity of this country. And so let us take a look at former president.
Some people are talking about 2023. 2023 is important, but 2023 is not as important as being able to package Nigeria as a wholesome peace in unity up to and beyond 2023 with security, with understanding, with development and progress taking us forward.
Thank you so very much. That is the former President Olusegun Obasanjo telling us the need for unity. We have no choice but to summon patriotism everywhere across the country. At the end of the day, we are all united by the desire to live well and prosper. So for us at the John Mayaki Show, we need to form a bond of unity and be patriotic about our country. It is only around this common goal we can survive as a nation. Let us remember that against all odds, people who love their country can save it. We must promote peaceful coexistence and religious tolerance in our various states, in our various local governments, in our communities, religious and social platforms. And so, Dr. Samson Osage, again, what do you think as Nigerians, as citizens, we can do to make sure we live peacefully?
Well, thank you again, John Mayaki. Thank you again, John Mayaki. I think the recipe for peaceful coexistence is not only just in the hands of citizens, but it's also in the hands of government. And peaceful coexistence is a byproduct of a just society. When there is justice, there can be peace, there can be harmony. But where there is no justice, then those whose rights have been trampled upon cannot be expected to acquiesce to a situation of gross injustice unto them. And that is why I want to start on the note that Section 14 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is the starting point for the government to instill the principle of justice, fairness, and equity in the governance of our nation. Now, the LCM of a good or a properly governed society is good leadership. Now, the people will naturally follow the footsteps of government, particularly when such footsteps arises from trusted actions of government that the people believe in. We guarantee their rights and privileges and provide for them. Section 14 says that the primary purpose of government shall be to provide security and the welfare of the people. And then it further says that the governance of this country shall be based on the federal character and the diversity of the nation. That is, in any decision that the government is going to take, it must take into account the diversified nature, the heterogeneous nature of their nation. And of course, I dare say that our strength as a nation, a people of over 220 million by the last estimated census, that is not a small number. That should be a strength for us. It's a large market, the largest market in Africa, which both Europeans and the Asians are rushing to conquer. Now, what government needs to do is to bring about a system of justice in allocation of resources, a system of justice in the governance of every segment of the society, a system of justice in the distribution of the wealth of the nation, a system of merit in the sharing of portfolios and allocation of position, so that no segment of the country will feel shortchanged, even in matters for which they are well qualified to do. Now, if that happens, then you are expected to have a citizenry that will cooperate with government, that will be law-abiding. You are expected to have a citizenry that will feel safe in the hands of the government that is running its affairs. A situation, for instance, where a segment of the society or a certain group of citizens are considered sacred cows in spite of the atrocities they will commit, whereas their victims are considered belligerents or aggressors, then there can be no justice. And the people who are victims cannot but speak loud and express their dissatisfaction. So it is for the government to create a template. The government must create a template for the citizens to step on and accept the governance that protects their interests. And unless justice prevails, it is difficult to have peace, it is difficult to have harmony.
Wonderful.
And I believe that the citizens must be law-abiding. On their part, they have a civic responsibility to be law-abiding. That is the irreducible minimum responsibility that the law requires of the citizen. Being law-abiding means you respect the laws of the land, you obey the constitution, you obey every laws, you desist from committing crime, and then you treat your fellow citizens with must, as a matter of urgent priority, do those things that are necessary to create an egalitarian society. And in our own case, what do? We are a consuming nation. We love things that are important. We virtually produce nothing. Even the little things that we produce, we are insecure to even go about our daily business. And now there are no jobs to unorthodox means to secure a living. And more often than not, those unorthodox means are criminal activities. So government must diversify immediately to ensure that there is industrialization effort. Our priority in terms of governance today must be concentrated on industrialization by ensuring that we become a manufacturing hub, because we have so many raw materials. This will engage a lot of people and remove them from the streets and then turn them to citizens who are law-abiding and hardworking. Living together in harmony is something that has so many facets. And it is the responsibility of government. It is also the responsibility of the citizens. But most largely, the government has a responsibility to provide that template for the citizens to live harmoniously. And that template must be founded on justice and must be founded on an economy that offers economic opportunities to all and sundry, regardless of where you come from.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much, sir. We'll be back again. Now, again, the lines are open. If you're watching us from any part of the country, the lines are displayed on the screen. Pick any of the lines over there and call us and give us your contribution. That is Dr. Samson Osage joining us from Abuja. We appreciate that. We'll be back to you again. Let us say this at the John Mayaki Show, that the less we find fault with one another, the more we are able to live and work together for the benefits of mankind and for the good of society. We believe here that peaceful coexistence and religious tolerance begins with the individual and spreads to family, it spreads to school, it spreads to community, nation, and the global village. The members of a society need to be oriented toward peace and tolerance rather than towards violence. At the time, social, economic, and political system have to be reoriented towards peace and tolerance in this country. Inclusively, the discipline of peaceful coexistence and religious tolerance must shape our way of life. Besides, we need to adopt a style of teaching in our various learning centers, including worship centers, where we impact the young and old on attitude of dialogue and non-violence. I mean the values of tolerance, the values of peace, openness to one another, caring and sharing human rights and democracy, just as Dr. Samson Osage has said. In all of this, literacy and basic education also matters. The power of education transforms the lives of people, no doubt. Education allows a lot of us to broaden our critical thinking and make informed choices and become agents of change and actors of peace and tolerance. literacy is not merely the skill to read and write. What we mean is that literacy that is transformational and that empowers individuals. There's no doubt that literacy facilitates intercultural understanding, facilitates respect, it facilitates conflict resolution, social cohesion, religious tolerance, and peaceful coexistence. Over here, we'll do our best to make sure we preach peaceful coexistence to everyone. It is evident to know that countries with patterns of violence have some of the lowest literacy rates in the world. No country can hope to establish lasting conditions for peace and tolerance unless it finds ways of building mutual trust between its citizens. The lines are open again. Feel free to call us so that we can share your idea and contribution. And so inclusive education promotes mutual understanding, promotes respect, tolerance, and dialogue, while literacy opens new opportunities and skills for all. And so the tenets of peaceful coexistence and religious tolerance are living in peace, loving and caring, caring and sharing, good neighborliness, being your brother or sister's keeper, respect our people's religion, respect our beliefs, equality, mutual benefits. And so, including competition without war, benefits of dialogue, mutual non-aggression. We talk of tolerance for ethnic diversity. We talk of tolerating one another. We must say no to any form of violence. We must say no to any form of inhuman behavior. We must accommodate individual differences. We've heard stories of Nigerian imams who saved Christians from Muslim gunmen. We've heard of those stories. We've also heard of stories of Christians who protected their Muslim brothers while building their mosque and freely gave them their land to the Muslim community. We want to commend those who prevented the raising of a church in Muslim-dominated area suburbs and urge them to continue in that peaceful conduct. No life is worth taking, none. And so, we condemn the depressing stories of killing across the country. We condemn it. We must therefore be patriotic. And so, Dr. Samson Osage, give us your last word on this issue.
Well, thank you very much. Last word on this issue is that we must be mindful of the fact that the world is already a global village. In the past, what has just taken place and what is happening in Afghanistan will not be properly appreciated the way we have seen it live, as if we are all present in Kabul. But right now, both the young and the old can see clearly the state of affairs in a nation that is peopled by creatures anybody will wish for in his own country. So because we live in a technological-driven world, then our government across the world, particularly in Africa, must be sensitive to the fact that gone are the days when the king does no wrong. We had in Nigeria not too long ago the NSAS protest. And the NSAS protest is only a euphemism for the, what I may call, the state of despair of a vast majority of the citizens as represented by the young population. So it is incumbent on all of us, on all leaders at every strata of, when I talk about government, I'm not talking about the president or the governor of the state, of all leaders across all strata in the society, to embrace strategies that will bring about an egalitarian and a just society. The The absence of peace is not the presence of war, or the presence of war is not the absence of peace. It is rather the absence of justice. And when there is no justice, citizens can go to any length to seek redress. And that exactly epitomizes what the Taliban in Afghanistan have demonstrated, a courage and a will to fight for what they believe in. It took a long time. The world powers came in. They had support at some point. The governors had support at some point. But at the end of the day, they were tired of spending their hard-earned resources and losing their own citizens in a war where the governance of the country themselves were not ready to have a check. We cannot develop by expecting that the Chinese or the Europeans will be the one to come and build our railways, to come and build our infrastructures, to come and carry out manufacturing in our country. We can only develop if and only if we look inwards, like the Chinese did. We look inwards and develop the human capacity within our country, so that Nigerians entrepreneurs and upcoming entrepreneurs are able to be empowered to carry out productive activities that can generate employment, give available economic opportunities to every citizen, so that we can be at least self-sufficient to a very large extent. Otherwise, the current situation of our dependency, which has led us to a state of beggarliness that has resulted in our having to borrow to fund everything in our country, is only a signal to a very bad future. And I think we cannot stand it. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much, Dr. Samson Osagie. We must therefore be patriotic. The lines are still open for contributions. Feel free to call us. And so be patriotic about our country. We must promote peace and unity, because it is in doing this that we can build a strong and virile nation for ourselves and future generations. Take a look again at the video of Afghanistan and do learn a lesson that when there are crises, I mean serious crises, not even will you think of your traveling bag, not even will you think of your huge bank accounts, not even your loved ones. You will run for your dear life. We do not hope to live in this type of situation. We have seen people scaling through fence. We have seen children being thrown aboard. We must do everything possible to make sure we live peacefully in this country. That will be all on today's edition of the John Mayaki Show. Until we come your way again, remember that life is a gift, and that every day you live to witness life, it is an opportunity for us to do something great and change our destiny. We want to thank Dr. Samson Osagie for taking his time in his commitment to build an egalitarian society. We want to appreciate that, Dr. Samson Osagie. Take care and take charge. Bye for now.